Hey friends, it's Jamie. I'm here to talk about the Pisces lunar eclipse that's going to be happening on the 28th here in New Orleans. Um, and the West Coast, East Coast will be happening on the 29th of August. Before we get started, though, I just want to talk just a little bit about Dolly Parton and her significance passing at this time, which I think is really beautiful. The transition that she chose to make at this time. So she was born on January 19th, and that is really cuspy between the being a Capricorn and being an Aquarius. And right now we are in this age of Aquarius. We're moved into this age of Aquarius, and the North Node of the lunar North Node is now at 29 degrees of Aquarius, and that is what we are, moving towards. Ascending to the North Node is what we are trying to move towards as a community, as a collective. And so the astrology of this lunar eclipse is in Pisces, but the astronomy of it, the moon is still in Aquarius. And I think this is really beautiful as people mourn her and talk about her, um, that she chose this time to transition. Everyone's going to say these beautiful things and about what a philanthropist she was. And I want to say she really put that Capricorn, Aquarius, cuspiness, if you will, to me was her whole life. So she worked her ass off, which is a Capricorn, and then she was about her community, which is being an Aquarius. And I'm, painting this in extremely broad strokes, but the fact that she understood the difference between her persona and in work versus who she was, where her heart space was as an actual person, to me also personifies that. So, um, Aquarius is about being your individual self. Aquarius is about um, the community, right? And Capricorn, being a hard worker. Capricorn is an earth sign, so it is about money. But what she just chose to do with her money was something totally her own way. And she modeled that taking care of people doesn't need to be um, flashy. It was about going back to the basics. The fact that she never forgot really where she came from. And I remember watching a video of her. I mean, they were a tribute. It was a tribute to Dolly, and it was probably in the 80s or 90s when I was watching this, and they were showing all the photos of her when she was growing up, and she was crying, and she said seeing those pictures of her family and her mama, and being back in the holler really made her emotional. She said the money, the fame, all of that. That didn't make her emotional, but remembering and remembering her family and all the love that they shared and all the love that was there, that made her emotional. And the fact that there's not many people, especially now in this day and age, I know I hate when people say that, but really in this day and age of influencers and whatnot, she really got it. She really got that work was work, and she was herself, and she knew the difference between showing up as Dolly and Dolly Parton and being that person and that persona she created versus, her heart and what was important for her. And, she was, in a sense, apolitical, but she made it known. She was a great ally to the LGBTQ community. She did a song for that movie Trans America. She stood up for people's rights. And that, I hope, will will keep be well, this is what people will speak about when they speak about all her like making jokes and um just being her bubbly self and being cute, but she was very intelligent, and she did, everyone talks about, her, you could sign up and her foundation would send books for kids to learn how to read, and those books helped people teach their kids about emotions and how to deal with loss. And she also bought up blocks of of lower income housing so people didn't have to get evicted from their homes, so developers wouldn't come in and develop those spaces. So I hope that the conversation around her will keep going. Her legacy isn't going to stop. I honestly think that maybe she knew something was coming up with her health-wise, and maybe that's one of the reasons why and this is just me speculating, you guys don't, this is me speculating. And maybe that's why she went ahead and let Beyonce record Jolene because she knew those royalties were going to come in and help keep these foundations going. She was a smart businesswoman. So thinking about her transiting on this where this lunar eclipse in astrology with the moon in Aquarius is really really quite beautiful. So thank you, Dolly, for giving us a role model to look up to, especially in this day and age. And she showed that she lived more than a full life. I can't even imagine being in the entertainment business when she was in the entertainment business and all the shit she had to put up with. And she just still was, tough as nails and respected. Was an ally, didn't let it jade her. She knew what was important. And you know, I can only hope that this really starts to sink in versus what we see now with people who have money or acquire wealth and what they spend it on and what they think is important versus what she showed us, what really is important. And humanity is humanity, and kindness is kindness, and love is love. So, with that, we are going to transition into this uh, lunar eclipse in Pisces. Because when we have eclipses, the idea is too that the sun or the moon has to be interacting with the nodes. And as we have just mentioned, the nodes have moved into Aquarius and to um, Leo, right? And so this eclipse is right on the North Node, what we are moving towards. And so this idea of Dolly transitioning, and we get to talk about who she was and how she lived her life and what it means to so many people. That idea that she was her own individual self, that she never forgot where she came from, that heart space, um, being taking care of communities, to me, that is 100% Aquarius, where the moon is, or well, excuse me, where the North Node is. This is what we need to be This is the collective needs to be going towards Dolly, the energy of Dolly, and how it was okay to create things and then use that wealth to help other people feel stable, all the things that she's doing, like housing security, um, trans rights, just normal, you're a human, you can survive. You can just show up and be, and you're going to be okay. Now the other little parts that are going on in your life, that's on you, but like you'll have a home, you'll have food, you'll know how to read. All those things that we now are arguing over. It's bananas. Okay, so I'm gonna pause right here and then bring up the astrology. So 1 second. Okay, you guys, here is the astrological wheel, and it is the 27th. I think at the beginning of the video I said the 28th and 29th, but it's 27th, 28th. So same diff. Okay. I mean, different dates, but we got it. Same energy. Okay. And being on the 26th, we are in the energy of this full moon. So pay attention to what's coming up. Full moons illuminate. They show you where things aren't stable. They show you where things need to change, but they also can show you where things are working, right? With Dolly, the way she lived her life, it worked, and it helped people. So, as you guys can see, the sun is down here in Virgo at 4 degrees. And then opposite is the moon in Pisces, conjunct that north node in Aquarius. So when we talk about Pisces, Pisces and Virgo are both mutable signs. That means they bring us from one season into the next. So now we're in Virgo season. So we are finishing up summer and moving into fall. And I can tell you, it is like 30 degrees cooler in New Orleans right now. It feels like a vacation. Okay. because we were out of that heat bubble. So, and then Pisces brings us into from winter into spring. Okay. And so, and I know with eclipses, it is always a lot of, it can be like, I mean, eclipses eclipse things in and eclipse things out. Um, Sometimes you can see it coming, sometimes you can't, right? And so, and this energy is with us for a couple of weeks. And I mean, other astrologers will say, for months, and they're not wrong. Okay, they're not wrong as they were doing this. But I would say, like, probably the big aha moments is within a couple of weeks. From the eclipses and maybe the way we work with them and the way we feel them out and the way we resolve them will take months, um, because we want to bring in this new energy and we want to bring in this stability. So with the mutable signs, it gives us that space to change our minds. It gives us that space to take a look around, and to make things happen. With the sun in Virgo, Virgo is the resolver. And Virgo, we've been working with Virgos about how to stay present, because Virgos resolve so much, they get stuck in their head and they're trying to resolve things, 6 years in the future. So this really is, especially with this full moon in Pisces, is about staying present. What is happening right now? What are some things that maybe you don't align with anymore or don't really speak to you like they used to, right? And the idea is, because Pisces works with that unconscious, it should be triggering other places in your life where maybe you felt like this before. And so you can resolve that, which will then resolve, I would say the past in a sense, but also resolve the way you move forward. I don't think this is, um, I don't think this is going to be as, I don't know, as some, eclipses are. I think this is going to be illuminating because Pisces is feelings. It's going to be illuminating how you're feeling. It is going to be illuminating um, places that need to get resolved in order for us to move forward. And again, bringing in, because it is conjunct the North Node, bringing in this energy of the age of Aquarius, which is really thinking about you and how you feel and where are you right now in your life and what is it that you like. And where are the places that maybe you keep being like, and then showing up for things that you don't want to show up for anymore, Um, but also, how are you resolving that within yourself? Are you taking on those emotions of like, and not even realizing it, like, ugh, like maybe you're showing up for something, this is an example, maybe you're showing up for something that doesn't resonate anymore. And what that is unconsciously doing is then putting you into a loop where you're falling back to sleep. So now you're not working out like you used to. You're not keeping up with your health. You're not keeping up with, I don't know, whatever. That you were keeping up with that made you feel better about yourself, that you were like, this is where I am. So it's like kind of noticing where maybe things are unconsciously, it's not putting you backwards, but not keeping you present, not keeping you where you want to be, not keeping you, um, I'd say on your goals, but maybe it's time to reassess your goals. I just signed up for a little bit of a kind of like accountability group, which is great because I always think I could use a little more accountability, um, especially when it comes to business things. But it was called a sprint. And the last thing I was like, the last thing I want to do right now is freaking sprint. I was like, oh my God. It's called a 90-day sprint. And it looks like a fine program. Like I said, I did sign up for it. And the girl and the woman running it was like, okay, get your running shoes, which was cute. And I was just like, oh my God, my fucking running shoes. So, but I do want to be held more accountable. I do want to get some systems put in, right? So, but what it was showing to me was it was bringing up all these things where, because I really didn't want to sprint, where maybe I thought I was lazy, or where maybe I didn't think I was good enough, or maybe where I was falling down and um, not necessarily taking, taking action, like being present in my life. There is this idea of surrender, like we have to surrender. but be present. We can't surrender to old ideas or old energies or old ways of thinking, right? And that age of Aquarius is bringing in these new ways of thinking. It is bringing in this idea of working with that heart space. It is bringing in working with energy, seeing how you feel in your body, right? Pisces and Virgo. Virgo is earth, Pisces is emotion. Um, how do you feel in that body? Are you feeling what you need to be feeling now in this day and age? Or are you still feeling, 1987, right? And the idea is if you're getting those ahas, like, holy shit, I am still feeling 1987. All right, well, how can you let that go? What are things that you can do to stay present? What are things in your life that are you now realizing are quote unquote triggers that are keeping you in 1987? This full moon in Pisces is going to help us resolve these things. It is going to help us see places where maybe we've outgrown or we haven't or we're not aligned to anymore. Um, in places that it's okay to just let them be. I know the other day, one more story. The other day, I don't know if you guys know this, but like I used to work at a coffee shop here. My neighbor had a coffee shop. So anyway, we were talking and we're going to do like, I'm going to help him a little bit more with promotions. Okay. So I had to call the other team to like kind of get things scheduled and all that kind of stuff. And then like kind of through the day, like the conversation kept coming back into my head and I was kind of like kind of thinking about no. And then I was like, I just had to keep telling myself every everything's fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to move and progress like it needs to progress. I didn't need to keep going back over it. But what I was doing was making sure my energy in my body felt big enough to allow these things to flow through, right? Instead of getting small and compact and thinking like, oh God, I really got to get this moving, just kind of getting a little bit bigger and allowing things to flow through. And I think this is a good energy to work with this full moon. Um, I was noticing how I was feeling when I was thinking about those things, but using Virgo, the energy of the virgin, allowing things to be, allowing new ideas to come in, allowing new feelings to come in, just kind of holding that space, right? And so the idea is to hold that space while the universe does its things, the eclipse, to bring things up, to bring things out, to move things in, right? It's our jobs to just stay present. Okay, you guys, I'm just going to work with that energy right now. Since we spent some time talking about Dolly, I would love for you guys just to really think about the way she lived her life, and that era that she came into show business was not, I mean, the era right now is not kind to women, but really that area and all the misogyny, and she navigated that wonderfully, and she was very open and honest the way that she talked about those things and what inspired her look, but she always had that moral compass, and her moral compass was her moral compass, and I would like for us to maybe think of that word too, moral compass, and what that means as we move forward as well. Okay, guys, I will see you soon. If you have any questions, please reach out. You can get me over on Instagram at Independent Street NOLA, or my website, it's independentstreetnola.com or independentstreettarot.com, and then here on YouTube at Independent Street Tarot. Like and subscribe, share all that stuff, tell your friends because it does help the algorithm. But I do hope you guys all have a beautiful eclipse.